Most gardens that I see in South Africa have this plant growing in the garden. It's called an agapanthus. It's indigenous, it's forgiving, it's water-wise, it gives you a flower and it lasts forever in your garden. Well, it'll last forever in your garden if you do the right things to it. So, if you've got some growing in your garden and it's now the height of summer and they're not flowering, they're still not doing what they should be doing, it's probably this reason. Take a look at these guys here. They've been in the same spot for about 4 years in my garden. And you can see it's summer and they're still not flowering. So what could the reason be? Well, if we take a closer look here, these guys are just too clumped and clustered together. What happens is they end up choking each other. When plants are fighting for light, nutrition, water, of course they're going to be a bit stressed out. And the last thing they're going to do is flower. So what I need to do right now, although it's not the ideal time, but hear me out. If you had planned this well, you would be dividing all of your perennials in the months of autumn, which is March, April. However, if in the height of summer you see that your perennials aren't doing what they need to do, they recover quickly, dig them out and get on with it. Divide them, get them out into the garden. So throughout the rest of the summer, they can still give you some flowers. This is how we do it. You want to get a good garden fork and we're just going to dig it in. Make sure we get down as far as possible. That's really important. And then lift these babies up. Just like that. There we go. And you'll see, look at it. It's coming out in this huge clump. So that is the reason why these guys aren't flowering enough. It's because they're too close. They're fighting for nutrients and water. And we want to divide them up, replant them out so we can make sure that our gardens are going to have loads and loads of flowers. At this point, you need your second garden fork. And you might think this is a bit of overkill, but really, this is the easiest way to do it. Now, take your garden fork. Don't put them this way. Okay, don't put them facing in. I want them facing outwards. And you're going to grab your clump of agapanthus, take the forks and just straight, get them in. That's it. Get the other one in. Bang! Into the clump, and then you just gently open it up. Aha! Look at that. Once you've done that, look how easy it is to form the clump. Is this thin enough? No, I'm going to take it one further. But now that you've got your initial clump, it's really easy to be able to just divide them. Simply just do that, and away we go. Now, to prepare these guys just before planting, and the easiest way is just to do it while you're digging them up. You know, you don't need all these roots. Prune them off. Get rid of these scraggly bits over here. And you can also cut the tops. And why are you going to do that? Well, that's going to reduce the risk of transplant shock because you're reducing the leaf area. If you had to leave all those leaves on there and you have really hot days, these plants aren't going to be able to cope. So the best rule is what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. And there I have one little guy that's ready to go. Let me do this little guy. Beautiful. Okay. And we do the same thing with the garden fork. Take this guy out. Bang. And he goes there. Put the other garden fork in here. That's it, and then pry it apart. Oh, it's so easy. Right. And that is the process that you're going to follow when you are transplanting all of your perennials. It is so much easier to do it this way. Really is far less energy and less fuss. Other plants that you can do in exact the same method, as well as planting, which I'm going to show you in a minute or two, are irises, daylilies. They are perfect, and they often start showing signs of distress and not flowering when they are too thick and matted together. So look around your garden and see what other leaf-like plants that you got, strap-like leaves that produce flowers, and those are the ones that will need dividing. You know, the agapanthus is such an incredibly forgiving plant. And there are so many wonderful hybrids that are now available on the market. One called Queen's Mum, which is a beautiful double thick white. There's Blue Velvet, which produces a head almost as big as a soccer ball with these deep, deep blue flowers. So whether you're wanting something short and squat in your garden or something big to cover in the back beds, there will be an agapanthus for you. They spread very easily. They're great ground cover as long as they've got full sun, perfect on banks, even just as little borders to finish off the garden. They really are a no-nonsense, incredibly forgiving plant. Right, so where am I going to be putting these babies? Well, I found the perfect spot because these guys are about to go over. Now, many of you might have bedding plants in your gardens which have finished their spring flowering and starting to look a little bit manky, just like these guys. They've done their time, they've given me a beautiful show, and these are the last few that are left. They're called cinerarias, and they were typically a beautiful winter and early spring flowering annual, and now it's time for them to join the rest of their friends on the compost heap. And that's what annuals do, you know. You might think, oh gosh, Tanya, what a waste to plant something, let it flower, and then just pull it out. But, you know, that's the nature of annuals. Annuals, you buy them in little 6-packs or 12-packs, plant them into your garden where you want to get that maximum color. They flower for you, give you a wonderful show, and then at the end of it, well, they go on holiday. And then we can put something else in. So I've got this patch over here. The soil is pretty good. I mean, look, it's gorgeous, dark, but remember, whenever we've got an opportunity, we want to add in the compost, add in some bone meal to get the soil prepped. So that's what I'm going to do right now. All right, once we sprinkle that all on, get in with your garden fork and give the soil a good turn. That should do it. Compost and bone meal mixed in beautifully. All I need now is my metal rake, just to rake it out nice and evenly to get my final prep done before I plant my baby little segments of agapanthus back in. Now remember, I prepped all my little agapanthus before, so I've got them all ready and good to go. But I just want to show you what would happen if you didn't prune the roots. So we've got a very long set of roots over here. Now imagine trying to plant that into a hole, because this is what happens. And watch closely, because I know you do it at home. You take the root like this, you put it into the hole, and you think, oh my gosh, there's a problem. So you think, well, that means I've got to dig a really big hole, but you're really not interested in doing that. So then you take it and you actually start folding the roots like this, and you shove them in the hole. I've seen you do that too. Or even better, you do one of these. You take it and you make it like that, and you shove it in the hole, and then you start covering it. But then when you cover it, there's still roots sticking up. So then you think, well, never mind, I'll just pile up some soil around it. Not the way to do it. So that's why we make your lives much easier, and we say that it's very, very easy and very safe just to prune away the excess roots, because then look how easy planting is. Just like that. We're going to plant these little guys about 20 centimeters apart, because that is going to be the perfect distance for them to thicken up and spread out. And certainly within a month or two, these guys would be lovely and thick and would already be producing flowers. Remember, when we're planting any plants out, especially small guys like this, or bedding plants that you want to work in a triangle instead of straight rows. You know, there's nothing worse than straight rows in a garden. Let's make another little triangle over here. There we go. So here we've got one triangle, here we've got the next one. So in order to avoid those straight lines that we don't want, we just go over here, pop another little guy in over here. So once you've transplanted all your little babies, the last thing to do is give them a really good watering. You're probably going to do this in the height of summer 3 times a week, at least for the first 3 weeks, depending on the rain, of course, that we're having. If it's raining, you're not going to water. But in the drier climates, like in the Western Cape, where you're not going to be having rain during the summer, then it's advisable to give them a good watering. Once after 3 weeks, you can then start cutting down on the watering, because then they would have re-established, their roots would have been set in, and you'll see within no time at all, they are going to start thickening up. After about 4 weeks, give them a good feeding of a fertilizer such as 2,3,4, something that's going to allow them to thicken out and get going. And that's either organic or granular fertilizers, whichever you prefer. And the best part about it is to sit back and watch them grow and wait till they are thick and full of blooms, giving you those riots of beautiful blues and whites that only agapanthus can do.